Hi there, it's Tara, she of all things transformational, transformational guidance coaching, transformational body work, and for our purposes here today, transformational yoga. So today I'm going to start a series of practices that we could call morning yoga practices because I had a request for a morning practice. That's a weird request for me to fill because I don't think there is a morning practice. This is a very, very, very subjective objective because we're all different. I'm sure you can attest to the fact that you don't always wake up feeling the same way every day. Sometimes the body feels more loose and ready to go. The energy is better. Some days, a little stiffer. Some days there could be a little backache here or there. Every day is different in the human body, right? And we all have different lifestyles, different occupations, different nighttime habits. If you spend a couple hours sitting on the couch and then go to bed, your body's probably going to feel different than the person who maybe is a little more active in the evening or, what have you. So this is going to be a general practice for mornings that you already feel pretty good. Nothing's really, there's nothing really up in the body. You feel decently energetic and you just want to kind of open things up and get ready to start the day, with your best foot forward, so to speak. So this is a general practice for when you don't have any issues, for people whose, physical health is in pretty good physical health, no major joint issues or range of motion issues anywhere. And for today's practice, we are going to use a strap, 2 blocks, and a blanket. If you don't have a strap, find something like a long dog leash, a bathrobe belt, something like that. Blocks, you could use a step stool, 2 same size cooking pots could work, something that they're the same size. And a blanket, you could use a big thick beach towel or a different non-yoga blanket as long as it's not squishy. We don't want squishy blankets, we want firm blankets, okay? Okay, so let's get started. Now, just in case you're not quite aware, the breath is a big part of a yoga practice. It's pranayama. Prana loosely means the life force energy. So usually in the morning, a lot of yogis will have a pranayama practice to help us to build the prana in the body. I'm just going to have us go through a couple minutes of some breath work just to sort of come into our body and center ourselves. By the way, you could do this practice any time of day. Typically, nighttime, we have quieter practices. More active practices are in the earlier part of the day, but it doesn't have to be morning for this to work well. Okay, so we're going to start with a little breath work. And I have my blanket folded in this shape. So it's a long, kind of, moderately thick, not too thick. And it went from this shape to this shape. And if you are using a yoga blanket, place the fringe side down. And we're going to have the folded edge here meet your back in the middle of your thoracic, and or in other words, you could say just below the shoulder blades. So kind of just about here across the back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to recline over the blanket. And I'm going to scooch around to kind of make sure that it feels right. And sometimes I just need to move a millimeter. It doesn't have to be a big shift to get it to feel like it's in the right place. But here's a few cues. Once you're down, here's a few things you could look for in your body to see if it feels right. And by the way, if you're not used to doing supported postures that open the front of the body, this might be too abrupt, so you can take the blanket out and just lie flat. Okay, so a couple things to check and see if the edge of the blanket's in the right spot on your spine. First of all, the back of your neck should be basically elongated with the chin kind of moving towards the chest bone. So if you're too far on the blanket with it under your shoulder blades, what you're going to do is you're going to pop the back of your neck up, the chin is going to pop up, and you're not going to get the benefit of this position. So you want to make sure that you can feel the shoulder blades gently landing on the floor, kind of a light landing on the floor, the back of the neck elongated, the chin nestling down. Another thing you could do to check is take your thumbs to that top edge of the blanket and trace that top edge of the blanket to the front of the body. And if it meets the bottom of your chest bone, that's called the xiphoid process. If it meets at the bottom of the chest bone or the xiphoid process, that's probably basically in the right spot. But then also you just want to kind of shimmy around and make sure that it is comfortable for your body. You can have your arms outstretched in a T or maybe in a Y shape or goalpost, whatever feels good for you. And I usually reach the heels out one at a time and kind of hook the heels on the floor or mat. And that's typically going to work for me. I do like the arms to have some openness reaching out from the shoulders so that we get this line of openness in through the side body, which is not typical for how we sit or sleep. Okay, so from here, if it's comfortable, let your eyes close, or if they want to stay open, you can let them be softly open so the lids are heavy. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring your breath awareness to your nose. So if you're able, close the mouth and let's be breathing through the nose. And we're going to take a slower, deeper breath in through the nose, at least a count of 4, maybe 5 or 6. And then a slower breath out through the nose. So let's do this at least 4 more cycles, breathing in through the nose for a count of about 4 to 6. And then your exhale is going to be a little longer. So if you took breath in for 4, let it out for 6. If you took it in for 6, see if you can let it out for 8 or 9. Good. So continue to breathe at this pace, and let me give you some cues. When you're breathing in, see if you can feel or sense all of your ribs moving and expanding on the inhale, causing your chest bone to lift up towards the ceiling and a little closer to your chin. On the exhale, see if you can depress the abdomen towards the spine first, and then let the bottom ribs start to converge together and down towards the hips, and eventually the chest bone leaving your chin. So let's do a couple more cycles. You're going to breathe in, you're going to expand fully, trying to really enable each rib to receive movement from the expansion of your lungs as you inhale. And then exhale, release down through the abdomen. And then the ribs converge and descend. Another inhale. By the way, we're also eliciting movement from the diaphragm muscle, which is the main muscle of inhalation. So as you inhale, part of what's causing those ribs to expand is the diaphragm moving up and pushing the rib cage out. So if the ribs aren't moving, then you're inhibiting the movement of the diaphragm, which is the diaphragm moving is very important for the organ function, the abdominal organs below the diaphragm and the lungs and heart above. So we really want to make sure that we're allowing all of that movement. And so unstucking the places in the rib cage that tend to clamp or hold together is a conscious practice. Okay, my friends, when you're ready, you can let your breath return to normal. You can bend your right knee, push off on the floor, and roll over to your left side using your right hand to push yourself up. And from here, we are going to come up to standing and begin the practice of our asana, our poses. So I'm going to turn this, well actually, you know what, I'm going to end up being on a profile to you. So I'm going to leave this going across my mat, but I want you to have this about 2/3 of the way down your mat going across the mat. It's going to be for your knees in a couple minutes, okay? We're going to grab our straps and we're going to come right on up to standing. And we're going to start in Tadasana. So you're going to bring your feet to be parallel. And by parallel, that might mean it feels a little awkward. You might feel a little bit pigeon-toed. It's okay. Sometimes yoga is slightly awkward. And then hip width apart. And I mean, when I say hip width, these bones that protrude from the front of your pelvis, not the outer hips, which is generally more composed of flesh and muscle and adipose tissue. So these bones drop down to the center of your feet, and that's your hip width. And then we're going to bring the palms to be open. You're going to lift your toes up so the weight comes on your heels. You can let the back top of your head slide up so the chin is about parallel to the floor. Enliven the back of your hands. So you should feel the triceps in the back of your arms, quadriceps in the front of your thighs engage. And then without rocking forward, let your toes land lightly on the floor. Good. And let's say hello to ourselves. This is a wonderful way to start the day. Hello, I am on the vertical axis. Chest uplifted. So nice deep breath, inhale. And we're going to raise those arms up like we're trying to touch the side walls. And either you can clasp hands, palms to the ceiling, or if that's not quite possible with your elbows extended, bring your strap between your hands. And we're going to go side to side, really getting lots of length in each side of the body, stretching the palms, keeping those elbows in extension so the elbows are not bent. And we're really opening up the front and sides of the body. Good. And then from here, you're going to take your hands on the strap and widen your hands on the strap so that you make a big Y shape. And I want you to make sure that you generously give yourself enough space between your hands that your elbows are able to stay in extension for this entire exercise. So if you need to widen your hands, please do that. Cannot emphasize enough. Okay, weight to the heels a little bit. We're going to lift the chest and we're going to start to let the hands come back behind us. Starting to get into the pectoral line. Opening up the arms, and you can allow yourself to pause in that pectoral line. Good, shoulders receiving this. So you should feel the shoulder blades drawing together and the front of the body opening. And then we're going to let the arms drift down. Take a break in relaxation. Exhale, then let's open the arms again and go round trip, bringing the arms up. All right, I do this every day, even if it's not formally. I do it a couple times every day. Sometimes it's just like you know, with the t-shirt that I was wearing or my towel or whatever, every day, okay? Okay, so from here, this is where I'm gonna turn on the profile. We're gonna just place that strap down, and you're gonna bring your blocks to the front of your mat, and this is gonna be the front of my mat right now. And we're gonna have this blanket across the mat about halfway or 2/3 down. You can adjust it when we decide, when we get there. We're gonna go into some lunge poses. So I'm gonna take a nice deep breath, exhale, and I'm gonna fold. And when I fold, I'm going to roll my pelvis, my hip bones over the thigh bones. Look at, I'm bending my knees. And I'm gonna bring the hands to the bricks. And I'm aiming to keep the spine long and the front of the body spacious. If this isn't possible for you because your hamstrings are too tight, you can raise the bricks up to be higher. You can actually use your legs so that you're keeping length through the spine, across the collarbones, and in the front of the body. So it doesn't matter how far down you come. What matters is that you have a mild opening in the back of your thighs and that you're keeping this length in the body. And in keeping that length, there's also tone in my back. Nice deep breath, exhale, and we're going to bring the right leg back into a lunge, letting the right knee drop down onto the blanket, and then guiding the left foot and knee so that the left knee is basically over the left ankle, as you can see here. The right thigh is something like 45 degrees. And then if you notice, I kind of scooted my blocks back so that my hands are underneath my shoulders. And I'm just going to firm up the gluteal muscles, walk the hands a little farther back, press down through the bricks, lift up through the back top of the head. I've got my back right foot, toes tucked. I'm pressing back through the heel, so I'm getting a foot stretch. And I'm bringing in an opening on this right side of the thigh, hip, and body. And then if the balance is good, you can raise the arms up. Good. And a couple breaths here. If you want to arch back, if you want to look to the sky, if the sun is shining in your window, you can praise the sun. If not, praise it anyway. Good. And then exhale, the arms can come down. And here's where things are going to get a little more interesting. Okay, so I moved my bricks a little forward. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to exhale, start to press my right heel back, lifting the right knee, but I'm going to try not to lift the hips. So I'm doing my best to lift the knee, but leave the hips where they were. So this is getting a little deeper of a stretch in the front of the hips, and notice that I'm still, nice and long through the top of my head, wide across the collarbones. I can feel plenty of space in the front of my body. The shoulders are not rounding forward. Good. And then you can exhale, step forward into the first position. And then step back with the left foot, and we'll repeat the sequence here. So you can adjust your right foot forward, bringing the right knee over the right ankle, and having that back leg in about 45 degrees. And remember, you're going to just bring your blocks back into a position that, kind of creates resistance under the hands to push up through the chest bone. So that you are lifting the sternum, reaching up through the top of the head. You can contract your gluteal muscles. I have my left foot tucked, pressing a bit back through the heel and eliciting an opening in the front of the left body. And then if you want, you can raise one or both arms. Inhale, lift the chest, praise the sun, praise the day, breathe deeply. Good. Coming down with the hands. You might shift the bricks a little bit forward here. Take a nice deep breath. You're going to exhale. Drive that left heel back without letting the hips lift as best as you can. Doing your best to straighten that front leg. You can always come up a little bit higher on the hands if you need to. And the reason why it's a good idea to have the bricks under your hands here is so that you can keep the length through the body, through the torso, through the spine. If I have my hands down, look at, invariably my spine is going to round. Is that the worst thing ever? No, but I don't get the opening in the front of the body that I get when I raise the arms. Good. And then you can exhale, step the feet together, take a nice deep breath, allow your knees to bend whatever you require for you to have a little contact between your belly, bottom ribs, and thigh bones. So you might have a bigger bend in the knees, you might have a slighter bend, and we're just going to let the head dangle. You're going to look at the feet, make sure that the feet are basically parallel here, basically hip width apart, and even pressure from the ball of the big toe out to the ball of the pinky. Let's keep a couple strong breaths going here. Imagine your sit bones are lifting up and widening. You might imagine you have some kind of animal tail, like a dog tail lifting up, wagging back. Or I like to picture a duck feathers popping up when the duck's head goes underwater. Nice deep breath, exhale. I'm going to draw my elbows into my waist, lift the chest, press the feet down, come on up and come into Tadasana. So weight to the heels, energy in the front of the thighs, the back of the arms, back of the hands, and then toes light on the floor. Good. Okay, I'm going to turn to face you so that I can see the camera and you can see me as we do the next series. All right, so we're going to take this blanket out of the way now. You can just put it aside. And again, at the top of your mat with your bricks here, let's tie some of these things together a little bit. All right, inhale, sweep up, welcome the day. Good, exhale, fold. Come into that long spine. Have your hands up as high as you need to. They can be higher on the thighs if you need to. Some people who are flexible maybe will have their hands lower. Maybe you have your bricks lower down, or maybe if you are an adept, yogi or have good flexibility, maybe you hold the toes, but keeping width across the collarbones, length through the top of the head and the tailbone, and an open body, open anterior body. And then from here, we're going to take a really big step back with the left foot into a medium high lunge. Good. So guide your right knee over that right ankle. And then exhale. Let's come up into standing lunge. And I'm going to call this warrior one, even though the back heel is up. So warrior one. Good. You're going to drop that back heel, keep the right knee over the right ankle, and open up the arms. Spin open to the left through your chest, and then you can turn to look over your right hand. I keep my palms up because it helps me keep the shoulder blades drawing together. I'm going to make sure that my front right knee doesn't kind of fall to the midline like this, as it will on some of us. And I'm going to really drive a lot of energy through the back edge of my left leg. Good. And then pivot back to the original position. Good. Hands can come to the bricks. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, drop into that forward fold called Uttanasana. Take a few breaths. Remember, you have enough bend in your knees that your belly and your bottom ribs are touching your thighs. We're going to bring the elbows to the waist, lift the chest, press the feet down, and arrive in Tadasana. Wonderful. Inhale the arms up. Good. Exhale, fold. Long spine. We're moving just a little bit more quickly here, not very fast, just a little more fluid. And step the right foot back into that long lunge with your hands on the bricks. Let's try to keep the wrists and the shoulders basically aligned. Good, okay, now from here, stabilize the legs. Exhale, coming up into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1, as a lunge. Modified as a lunge. Good. Couple deep breaths. Drop that back heel. You're going to keep your left knee over your left ankle. Try not to let it drift in. Spin open in the chest to the right. Opening the arms and then looking over your left hand. Good. Remember to keep a lot of energy through the back leg, the pinky edge of the back leg, and to do your best to keep this left knee over the left ankle rather than drifting in where it could try. Exhale, return to the high lunge, Virabhadrasana 1. Good. And into the forward fold, long spine. Exhale, fold the spine, surrender to gravity. Look at the feet. Are they parallelish? Are they about hip width apart? Good. Rooting through the ball of the foot and the heel. Make sure that the inner knees are not knocking towards each other. Imagine whatever your animal tail of choice is reaching up and back. Sit bones widening, head dropping. Inhale, elbows to the waist, lift the chest, press the feet down, arrive into Tadasana. Good. Let's inhale the arms up. Come through prayer pose. Feel your heartbeat. Have gratitude for your day. And come to Tadasana. So that's a quick and short practice for your morning. There's so much more, right? That's just a little snippet. But that would get me started on a day when I feel pretty good and I just want to kind of, lock it in. Almost all of the joints got to move there. We went through almost all of the ranges of motion. And so the body has really received a lot of the benefit of what you can do with it in a quick little nugget. There's a lot more possible, and I am going to make some more videos that I'll call morning practices, but that's just what we're going to call them. You can do them any time of day that feels appropriate for you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking advantage of these videos that I take the time to make for you. If you got something out of it, please do the things. Give it a like, give it a comment, share it with somebody who might benefit from it, and subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.